Hey, this is Jack Kelly, CEO, founder, WeCruitr. Have you ever had this happen to you? It's that aha moment when there's an issue or a problem, and then out of nowhere you're like, oh, it all makes sense. This is why such and such is happening. Well, this is what happened in our We Meetup group. So part of WeCruitr and our whole ethos is to help people find jobs and advance with their career, and we use the word we instead of recruiter, is that the goal is for everyone to help each other out, to support, to be there for people, to offer job leads, to commiserate when things don't go well. And that's the whole vibe. And on the site, on the Facebook group, the other day a person wrote that they had an interview and basically they didn't get it, and there's an outpouring of support. And one of the things they brought up is that the interviewer kind of talked incessantly throughout the whole thing. It didn't give the person a chance to talk, and then afterwards was questioning, maybe I should have done this, maybe I should have done that. And what happens, and let me get to the initial thing I mentioned, is when you're looking for a job, one of the key things is you need to go on a lot of interviews. Now I'm saying, you say, duh, of course, but think about that for a second. When it's a hot job market, and it was like that pre-COVID, there's so many jobs. They even had what you call the war for talent, that there's so many jobs that companies would bend over backwards to hire people. If maybe you didn't have everything that the job description required, they'd be a little open-minded because they needed the people, they needed the talent. And if they didn't hire the person, their competitors will. Fast forward to now, it's the complete opposite. There's not enough jobs out there, and there are too many people looking for jobs. With millions of Americans out of work, or underemployed, or pushed into retirement, there's an overwhelming amount of resumes that flood any open job. Now, if you're looking for a job and you want to interview, and let's say you're in a sector, hospitality, airlines, restaurants, travel, concert venues, retail shopping, there's so many that just got destroyed. And if you're a mid to senior level person, it's like a pyramid. Maybe on the bottom part of the pyramid, there's lots of different jobs all over, but as you progress and as it goes higher, it gets narrower. So there are less and less jobs. Now, if you're in one of those industries that are in trouble, that are still downsizing, still laying off people, not hiring, there's not a lot of jobs out there. So there's not a lot of jobs to begin with once you get up that pyramid and you're towards that, that center. There are fewer jobs, but now there are even fewer jobs because of what's going on. So when you're interviewing, think about the pressure, the stress, the anxiety that people are going through. So maybe you haven't had an interview in 3 weeks, in 3 months, in 4 months. And the last few interviews, rejection, rejection, rejection. What do you think a person's going to feel when they go for a new interview? Are they going to go in all like, yeah, I'm pumped, I'm going to get it. It's going to work. I got this. Or are they going to go in with a little bit of dread, like, oh, here we go again. All right, I'm going to try. And I got to do it. I don't have any other interviews on my calendar. I don't know when the next interview is going to be. I know I got rejected. I got ghosted. I didn't get feedback. So when you go into this interview, now you're going in, you're nervous, you're stressed, you're anxiety ridden. Your heart's going, pumping like crazy. Now when you go in the interview, the odds are for most normal people, it's hard to change that. It's hard to then go with that nervousness, that anxiety, and then go on a Zoom call and be like, hey, how you doing? I'm Jack Kelly. Nice to meet you. I'm really excited to be here. And be all calm like that. It's almost impossible to do that. Most normal people can. If you're a psychopath, you can. So maybe I'm a psychopath. That's how I'm able to kind of turn it around. I don't know. But for most normal, regular people, if you're harboring these feelings of insecurity, you've lost some self-esteem, your confidence is eroded, you've been rejected, you've been denied. It's just reasonable when you go into it, you're not going to feel your best. You're not going to feel pumped up. You're not going to feel excited. Conversely, being a recruiter for 20 plus years, I've noticed if you have a job, a safe job, and you're just looking, you're going to be way more confident. Because at the end of the interview, it doesn't work, you're like, meh, okay, I'll go back to my job. Cool. You know, if it worked, it worked. If it doesn't. So the unfortunate, weird, ironic thing, the people who don't need it are the ones who come across good. Because they're just calm about it. Because they know, hey, if I get this job, great. Are they a little nervous? Of course. But there's a different level of nervousness and anxiety and stress. Because they figure, all right, worst case comes to worst. I don't get the job. I met some new people, built up my network, and I go back. Okay. On the other side, if you're looking and looking and looking, and you finally get something, if you would chart it, the anxiety, the stress, the pressure, zoom, just through the roof. And what happens is this: no matter how much we could coach, or I could coach people in terms of going for the interview, human nature is what it is. It's hard to go there and be confident and happy and upbeat and motivated when you're carrying this baggage with you around. It's easy to say, dump that baggage, you know, become confident, become upbeat, become motivated. Easier said than done, and I recognize that. And the reason I'm bringing this all together is this. If you're going through this, take heart. It's not you. And this is what happens too. You start thinking, hey, it's me. I did something wrong. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe you have imposter syndrome. Maybe you feel your boss, your former boss, former coworkers are backstabbing you or sabotaging you. It's not that. It really boils down to a very simple premise. There are way too many people looking with far too jobs available. And it gets harder the more senior you are and the more money you're making. So what happens is when you do finally get the chance to interview for something, you're holding on to it for dear life. And it's hard to pull off. And even if you do come in and you do really well in the interview, there's so many other people as well. So you have so much competition. My point is this. This is what's going on behind the scenes. When you're going through it, you don't need to add any more aggravation. It's not just you. This is happening across the board. It's a systemic thing that's happening everywhere. There's just not enough jobs and too many people looking and companies too scared to hire. And on top of that, the trend is for companies to juniorize jobs, meaning they'll take what should be a senior job, but then bring it down to a very junior level so they could pay less. They also are taking advantage of moving to lower cost locations within the US and to abroad to other countries. So now, if you're in a big city, New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Miami, Chicago, Philly, and they could put that job into a lower cost place, maybe Wyoming, maybe North Dakota, maybe India, they're going to do it. If they could also have a more junior person pay less, they're going to do it. So this is what you're knocking your head against the wall. Now, does this make you feel better? Well, maybe. Maybe in the sense that you know it's not you, and you're not doing anything wrong, and you're of high quality, and you have a great background. You're a fantastic person. People like you. Your former boss likes you. Your former coworkers like you. Everything's great. It's nothing to do with you. It's all about the situation that we're in, and it's lined up against you temporarily. And I specifically say temporarily because I think it's going to change. I think as long as I've been recruiting, I've always seen things shift back and forth. It never stays constant in one way. The market can be very hot, then it gets cold, then it gets back hot again, then it gets cold. They go in waves. Think about it. We had the financial crisis. Before then, we had a lead up, in the stock market, in the economy, financial crisis, zoom, lead up. Then you had the COVID, zoom, back down. There's always something, and it goes in these waves. We're on the beginning of the end of this horrible wave, and at the beginning of a new wave. And this new wave is going to be, we have, 4 different companies coming out with vaccines. We have the elections behind us. No matter whose side you're on, I think we're all going to be happy to put it aside and stop fighting with each other and arguing and yelling at each other. That's going to get out of the way. We have a new year. Usually new years historically make people feel better. I think in this year, going into 2021, we're going to be like, yeah, new life, new everything, new year. It's going to be a renewed vigor, feeling. Companies are going to start hiring again because once the vaccines are in place, a lot of the places that locked down could reopen. A lot of places that were on limited, doing limited business could go full businesses. A lot of companies that were holding off because they were scared to hire because they don't know what was going to happen are going to start hiring again. And then what happens is this. It's the direction you're heading that's very important. For the last 9 months, the direction was we're going around in circles. We're doing well, now we have to lock down. Maybe better, no more cases. We got to shut down again. The direction moving forward is probably going to be positive. Where we're not going to have as many cases, not as many deaths. We have the vaccines. Companies are going to start reopening. Companies that were on hiring freezes will start lifting it, and then they'll start hiring. The mood will improve. And don't discount that, because mood is everything. If there's a positive mood in the country, in the world, about the economy, the future, companies are more apt to hire because they think things are going to go well. And they know if they don't hire, their competition will, and the competition will do better. So then it becomes a race, and we're going to see this pent-up demand. And then once you get this pent-up demand, companies are going to start hiring, business is going to be going well, stock market goes well, people feel better about themselves, they spend more, and it's self-fulfilling. What'll happen then is the shift. So we're going to start having more jobs available. So when you get to interview, the odds start going in your favor. So instead of having one interview every week, every 2 weeks, every month, every 3 months, maybe you'll have one every other day. Maybe it could be twice a day. Maybe it can end up being 3 times a day. And that's what you need. So if you have a lot of interviews, because now the market is better, things are better, you're going to feel more confident. You're going to go into the interview saying, oh, hey, if I don't really nail this interview this morning, I got one in the afternoon and one tomorrow and one on Friday. And then you perform better because you're not as stressed, like, I got to get this job. So what'll happen, there'll be way more jobs. You'll have more interviews. Each interview will be a little bit more confident because you're not worried, this is it, do or die. You're going to know, hey, if I do it, that's awesome. If not, I got a bunch of others. Maybe I'll get 2 or 3 offers that I could choose. And your confidence is going to go up. You're going to perform better in the interview. And then once you're performing better, because when you are worried, the interviewer kind of gets spooked. When you're not confident, maybe you're talking a little negative about your past employer, maybe you're talking a little negative about the whole situation you're in, the interviewer worries. They're like, I don't know, I don't feel good about this. And if there's a lot of candidates out there, it's easy to pass and go on to the next. But with the vaccines, companies reopening, businesses reopening, the mood improving, companies starting new divisions, new ventures, more jobs, then companies and interviewers and hiring managers are going to be more lenient because hey, we need the talent. We're going to be more open-minded. As a candidate, as a job seeker, you're going to notice that, so you're going to feel more confident. You'll have more interviews, you'll have more confidence, and then, as I mentioned before, it's a numbers game. With more interviews, the more you have, the greater chance you're going to hit it off with someone. It's going to work. So my message to you is to hang in there. It's not you're not doing anything wrong. It's just the way things are currently. But I think it's going to change. Is it going to happen overnight? No. It's going to be a light switch that goes on and changes? No. But it's going to be a gradual evolution and a gradual movement. And then before you know it, it's going to be a really solid job market with a lot of opportunities, and it's going to turn around. So you have to stay mentally, emotionally, physically strong during this time period till it comes, and hang in there. Don't beat yourself up. Be positive. The future's going to be brighter. You're going to get interviews. If you can get a lot of interviews, you're going to get that job. So it's Jack Kelly. Hang in there. Stay strong. I'll speak to you soon.